I heard my wife talking to her mom. Once his business takes off, I'm filing for divorce and taking half. I saw the text. The next day, I sold the company for $1,000 to my father and became an unpaid intern. Her lawyer's reaction during the asset discovery phase was pure gold. That was the moment everything about my marriage, my future, my beliefs about loyalty, cracked open like a rotten board under my feet. The night I heard her say it, I had just come home from a client meeting that ended early. I wasn't even trying to overhear anything. The bedroom door was half open, the light spilling out in a long, thin line across the hallway carpet. I heard my name and froze. There's something about hearing your spouse talk about you with a tone that's just a little too practical, a little too cold. It puts ice water right in your veins. Just 6 more months, Mom, Emily said. Maybe a year. His accountant said the valuation will cross 7 figures by next spring. My lawyer said timing is everything. I want maximum asset value on record when I file. She didn't whisper, didn't hesitate, didn't choke on the words. She sounded like she was talking about weather patterns. Her mom asked if she was sure. Emily laughed softly. I'd heard that laugh in bars, at dinners, in hotel rooms on anniversary trips. Mom, I've been documenting everything. Revenue, expenses, even his client list. Mark says we have a rock-solid case. Community property state, remember? I'm entitled to half. And alimony. I supported him while he built this thing. I deserve it. I didn't even make a sound. I stepped back, walked outside like a sleepwalker, and sat in my car. My mind went into this weird, suspended mode. I wasn't angry. Not yet. It was like I had stepped out of my own life and was watching it across a room. After a while, don't know if it was 5 minutes or 50, I drove around until the ache in my chest went numb. When I finally came home again, she kissed me goodnight like nothing had happened. I stared at the ceiling until 3 in the morning, listening to her breathe, realizing that the woman sleeping next to me wasn't my partner. She was an accountant with emotional camouflage. By dawn, I had a plan. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't fury. It was survival. I called my dad at 7. He didn't ask questions, just came over at 9 in a flannel shirt and work boots like he was preparing to fix a leaking roof instead of my entire life. I showed him the screenshots, her text to her lawyer, the forwarded bank statements, the time-stamped FaceTime conversation logs. My dad sat silently for a long time, rubbing his jaw the way he does when he's considering something heavy. Finally, he said, "You're asking me to take a hit for you. You know that, right?" "I know," I said, "but I can't let her use me like this." He exhaled. "Okay, then let's call my attorney." Paperwork moved fast. Shockingly fast. Maybe because everything was so clean, so brutally simple. I sold the entire business, LLC, contracts, intellectual property, client relationships, to my father for exactly $1,000. The attorney warned us the sale would raise eyebrows. Her lawyer will call this fraudulent transfer. Prepare for war. "It's not fraud," I said. "I'm restructuring. My dad ran a consulting business for 30 years. I'm learning from him. I'll be working as an unpaid intern." The attorney gave me a slow, strange smile. "You're actually doing this?" "Yes," I said, "because she's already planning my execution." We signed all the papers by late afternoon. I moved every document into neatly organized folders. Everything dated, everything justified, everything technically legal. When Emily came home that night, I was sitting at the dining table, eating leftover steak like it was any other Wednesday. "Hey, babe," she said, dropping her purse. "How was your day?" "Good," I said. "Made a big decision." She froze mid-step. "What decision?" "I sold the business." I said casually, "Dad's taking over. I'm going to work under him for a while. Learn more about scaling." The color drained right out of her face. She looked like someone had unplugged her. "Sold the business?" "Yep. Closed today." "For how much?" $8,000. She blinked so slowly it was like her brain rebooted. $8,000? $1,000. "Yeah," I said, sipping my water. "It's family. He's mentoring me. It's not about the money. She excused herself and practically sprinted to the bedroom. A second later, I heard her voice, hushed, shaky, on the phone. Probably her lawyer, probably panicking. I ate my dinner in peace. That night, she didn't sleep in our room. 3 days later, she asked for a conversation. Her face was tight, rehearsed. She sat at the table like she was preparing to deliver a eulogy. I think we need space, she said. Our marriage isn't working. I'm filing for divorce. Okay, I said. She blinked. She expected a meltdown, a desperate plea, a question. I gave her nothing. Just peace. You'll be hearing from my lawyer, she added sharply. I'm sure I will, I said. She looked almost disappointed that I wouldn't fight. She moved out 2 days later. That was when the real show began. Within a week, I got a massive packet from her lawyer demanding full business valuation, tax returns, bank statements, everything. My attorney sent what we had: business sale papers, transfer of LLC ownership, proof I was an unpaid intern. Then one afternoon, my attorney put a call on speaker. Her lawyer's voice blasted out like a furious robot siren. What the hell is this? My attorney answered calmly, this is a documentation you requested. He sold a 7-figure business for $1,000 3 days before my client filed for divorce. My attorney shrugged, audibly. That's correct. This is fraud. It's restructuring, my attorney said. Perfectly legal. He's seeking mentorship. There was a long, sputtering pause. Then, we're filing for fraudulent transfer. Feel free, my attorney replied. Everything is documented. That call was just the first crack of thunder in the storm. And honestly, I hadn't even begun to enjoy the rain yet. The emergency hearing was set for a Thursday morning, and I don't know what I expected walking into that courtroom. Maybe a dramatic showdown, maybe a moment where Emily would at least look conflicted, but she showed up in a fitted blazer, hair pinned straight, sitting next to her lawyer like she was auditioning for the role of innocent wife blindsided by villain husband. I just sat there quietly, hands folded, while her attorney practically sprinted to the podium. Your Honor, she began, voice trembling with manufactured outrage. The respondent sold a business value between $800,000 and $1.2 million for $1,000 to his father mere days before my client requested a separation. This is textbook asset concealment, intentional devaluation, and fraudulent transfer designed solely to rob my client of her rightful share. The judge slowly turned toward my side. Response. My attorney stood, calm as a man reading a weather report. Your Honor, my client restructured his business under his father's mentorship, a plan documented months prior to marital issues. The sale is legitimate. The ownership transfer is legal, and the business value is subjective due to its service-based model. My client now earns zero income as an unpaid intern. Zero? The judge repeated, looking at me. Zero, Your Honor. I said, I'm learning. The judge blinked twice, then thrice. Emily made a muted, choking noise beside her lawyer. The forensic accountant her side hired testified next. He explained the business appeared undervalued, but he could not identify hidden bank accounts, concealed transfers, or personal access to revenue. My attorney's cross-examination was surgical. Is it uncommon for family businesses to transfer ownership within the family at below market value? No, the accountant admitted. And is business valuation subjective? In many cases, yes. And would mentorship and restructuring decisions fall under the owner's right? Technically, yes. That word, technically, might as well have been a sledgehammer. Emily sat rigid the entire time, jaw tight, hands clasped like she was praying for divine intervention. Then my dad testified. He walked up in a plain suit, silver hair neatly combed, wireframe glasses. He looked like someone's favorite grandpa instead of the man now owning a consulting business generating hundreds of thousands a quarter. Her lawyer pounced. Mr. Palmer, why did you buy your son's business for $1,000? Because he asked. My dad said simply, he needed help. He was overwhelmed. I offered mentorship and structure. The money wasn't the point. My son is the point. The judge scribbled something, then looked at my dad again. Are you paying him any salary? Not at the moment. He's still training. Where's the business revenue going? My business account. My dad said I use it for expenses, overhead, contractors, standard operations. Does your son have access to those funds? None. Emily glared at me like I'd personally reached into her bank account and stolen her future. After all testimony, the judge called a short recess. When she returned, she said the line that still plays in my head sometimes. While the court finds the timing suspicious, suspicion is not evidence. There is no proof of fraud at this time. The business sale will remain valid pending further discovery. Emily's face collapsed. Her lawyer looked like someone just told her Santa was dead, but the judge wasn't done. However, since the wife supported the household during portions of the marriage, and since the business was developed during the marriage, I'm ordering structured settlement negotiations. Both parties will mediate. Translation: settle or go to trial. Trial would mean months of legal fees neither of us wanted. Mediation was its own version of hell. Her lawyer began at $400,000 plus alimony. My lawyer countered with $50,000 as goodwill. That was the moment Emily finally broke her composure. She shot up from her chair. 50,000? 50? I spent years supporting him. I cooked, I cleaned, I stayed home. Yes, my lawyer said, and you also documented his business growth, so you could leave him the moment the valuation peaked. Her mouth shut so fast, I swear I heard her teeth click. Mediation dragged on for weeks. Lots of tense silences, whispered strategy sessions, and Emily giving me death stares like she wished lasers would shoot from her eyes. Eventually, she landed on $175,000 as her final offer. My dad and I exchanged a glance. It wasn't the victory I dreamed about in those first few nights after betrayal, but it was the one that would end the war. Structured, my lawyer said, over a year, no lump sum. She threatened to walk. We let her walk. She came back. The agreement was signed. She got $75,000 up front, then 2 more $50,000 payments. No alimony, no share of the business, no future claims. I refinanced the house to remove her name and paid her $25,000 for her equity. The divorce finalized quietly. No fireworks, just signatures, a final cold nod from her, and the soft click of a door closing behind her forever. Months passed. I lost weight, stress weight. I slept badly. The house echoed differently without her energy in it, even if that energy had turned toxic long before the end. But I could breathe again. I could walk into my office without feeling watched. I could speak freely. I could exist without being an investment portfolio someone was timing like a stock. My dad helped me rebuild mentally, too. Thursday dinners became tradition. He never gloated, never said, "Told you so." He understood the cost wasn't just financial. For months after the divorce, I learned through mutual acquaintances that Emily had already burned through most of the settlement. Credit card debt she'd hidden, a spur-of-the-moment trip overseas, an expensive apartment she couldn't really afford. She was working retail management, making about a quarter of what she expected to have after the divorce went through. Her mom apparently said I ruined Emily's life, but I didn't ruin her life. I just refused to let her ruin mine. My business, technically my dad's, was thriving, revenue higher than ever. We worked together, documented everything, did everything by the book. In 3 years, per the buyback agreement, I'll purchase the company back for $1,000 again. She'll never touch a dollar of what it becomes. I'm not dating, not rushing. I want to trust myself again before I trust anyone else. Sometimes I walk around the house and still feel the ghost of the marriage that should have been, the one where I had a partner, not a strategist. But then I remember standing in that hallway, hearing her voice so calm, so confident, planning exactly when to leave me for maximum profit. And in those moments, I know I made the right call. There was no happy ending where she apologized and learned and changed. There was no dramatic confession. She wanted half. She got a structured payout instead. She wanted a millionaire husband. She got a retail manager's salary. She wanted freedom without consequences. She got consequences without freedom. And me, I got something better than revenge. I got my business, my peace, my future. Sometimes you don't win because you outsmart someone. Sometimes you win simply because you stop letting them write your story. And that's exactly what I did.